I've seen our next guest in so many amazing projects, from Full Metal Jacket to Stranger Things, and so many things before and in the middle of that and all around it.
Awesome.
He's now starring as the colorful congressman in a new film called Miss Virginia. Please welcome the amazing Matthew Modine. Welcome, Matthew. Thank you for being here. We were talking off camera about some of our favorite Matthew Modine projects.
Fans.
Mine's Birdie, and there's so many others in between, like I just alluded to there.
So good.
But what I'd love to do is I'd love to rewind a little bit, because it's always fun to find out what a great actor like yourself was inspired. What started you in the business? 5-year-old Matthew at a movie theater, inspired by a future Hollywood legend. Tell us the story.
Well, my father was a drive-in theater manager, and so I was born in Loma Linda, California. We moved from there to Imperial Beach, and then we moved to Utah, where he became the general manager of about a dozen drive-ins and a couple movie theaters. And one of those was a place called the Lyric Theater, which is now called the Promise Valley Playhouse on State Street in Utah. And I was about 5 years old, and Robert Redford had a movie coming out that he was doing publicity for, called Barefoot in the Park.
Oh, man.
And he came to the theater, and I was just a little boy. And you know, when you're little, you assume that what's happening in the movies is real, that those are real people and they're doing real things. So it was interesting to see this guy walk off of a movie screen and into my dad's drive-in. And he was so kind and generous, and you know, to a little boy that didn't know anything, and he was very generous. And it made a big impression on me. And it kind of, I think, planted the seed for what would become a career in the movie business. I think.
And what a career it has been, my goodness. And much like Robert Redford, who was your idol, you do movies with messages. You always have, and they've been really great ones. Like this one, Miss Virginia, and you play Congressman Clifford Williams. Tell us about Miss Virginia.
Well, I like that you said colorful, because he's certainly an unusual kind of person. You know, on the first day of filming, I'd gone to bed with my hair wet, and when I woke up, it was kind of sticking straight up, and I thought, that's a good look for this guy.
It.
Yeah, that's a good look.
You decided on that?
Yeah.
That's
well,
awesome.
it was the bed decided that. My hair was wet, and I woke up that way.
I think it's a great choice.
That's awesome.
It's kind of like yours. You know?
My bed decides, my hairdo too. Well, thank
day.
you. I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, he's somebody who's kind of fallen into the glass, you know, the jar, the bottle, however you put it. He drinks a little bit too much. And I think he's somebody who gave up, you know, and I imagine, you know, so many of our heroes, like Dr. Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy or Robert F. Kennedy, or, you know, what if those people got to a point in their careers, had they not been murdered, and gave up? What if they just, you know, like, I don't want to do this too hard. And so this guy's kind of given up. And then Uzo Aduba, who's a force of nature as an actor and a human being, and is certainly, I mean, it reminds me of Norma Ray, her performance where Sally Field won the Academy Award for that performance. I think that she's certainly deserving of a nomination for this performance. She's terrific in the film. But she comes into his life and she reinvigorates that sense of fire. The spark that might have just been almost out, she lights the fire and gets him to get involved, and they become together a great force.
And that's what she had set out to do when she got Congressman Williams involved, because it basically came down to the fact that her child was in an at-risk school. She wanted to take him out and put him in a good school, and she couldn't afford it. And so she found Congressman Williams, and she said, you got to help me. You got to take a chance on me. And that's what we're about to see.
Oh, great.
I've been in this game for a long time. There's a way things are done or not done. And that doesn't change because you want it to.
Disagree.
Disagree all you want. It doesn't change things.
Disagree.
You might just be formidable.
Agree.
Why don't we have a real drink and seal the deal?
No. I like to stay sharp. Prevents bad choices like those pants.
These pants are tactical. They blind the opposition.
What, so folks don't see how bad your game is?
I like golf, but what I'm really good at? Legislation.
You better be.
You have no idea.
Two together, oh man.
I wish you could see how bad the pants are, because you see them in the scene previous. They're really bad pants.
All right.
They're really
These days, bad pants are getting pulled off as good pants. The worse they are, the better they are. But I know, listen, fantastic. And I know I want to also kind of go back a little bit to when you were just starting out in New York. It's tough as an actor getting started, right?
Yeah.
And you started those days out by helping yourself as a chef in a restaurant, and you had a little bit of a difficult encounter with one certain patron. Tell us the story. It turned out pretty well, though.
Yeah, it turned out good. So I'd gone to that restaurant to be a waiter, and the guy said, "There's no way I'm putting you on my floor. Get in the kitchen." And he didn't know how comfortable I was in the kitchen because my mom and dad had a Mexican food restaurant, and I got a job when I was 11 years old. I got my Social Security card, and I was working at June's Cafe in Salt Lake, in Midvale, Utah. And so I'm working in the kitchen. I'm salad man, the pastry chef, sous chef, and I had my white jacket on and my checkered pants. And the waiter came in and says, there's a customer who wants to take this dish to go. And I said, I'm not making it. It will be terrible to make this dish to go. No, she's a good customer. She comes in all. I said, I don't care what she is. I'm not making it to go. He goes, no, she. I said, okay, you're afraid to tell this person no. So I said, I'll tell her. So I come out of the kitchen to tell this girl to go to Sarge's Delicatessen down the street on 3rd Avenue. And I looked at her and I said, how many do you want? And
Because you couldn't tell her no either.
It was the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen in my life. And I do believe in love at first sight because we're now 38 years together. And
almost 39, almost 39.
Amazing. And not only that, you all got married on a sort of interesting holiday that most people wouldn't think to get married on. You didn't even know you were doing it, though. You got married on Halloween?
Yeah, it was an accident. We said we'd get married the end of October, and without consideration of what the end of October represented. And so everybody came to the wedding in costumes, and I dressed up kind of like an admiral, and she had a beautiful dress on that was like a wedding dress, but then because she's a dancer, she twisted something, and that thing, kind of the trail thing came off, and she was in a little mini skirt to spend the night dancing at the Plaza Hotel in New York City.
And you had no idea. You
story.
sent invitations out, and your friends were like, that's Halloween.
Strangers were coming in costumes,
That's right,
and it's such
At one
a good
point,
story.
we looked around and we said, do you know anybody that's in this room? We didn't know anybody. It was just the music was playing out on the streets of New York, and people just started coming up to the hotel room. It was fun.
It's like a
we
fairy tale.
appreciate you being here,
What a great
telling your
story.
stories, and we certainly appreciate you in this film as well, everybody. Thank you, Matthew. Be sure to catch Matthew in Miss Virginia. You will not be disappointed, everybody.